Hi friends, today's video is called The Power of Our Words, and it is the first in a series of videos I'm going to do on this theme. My name is Janine and I make videos on the connection between body, soul, and spirit. If you feel connected to what I'm doing, I'd invite you to like and subscribe and come along for the journey. I post every week. So there are scientific studies that have actually shown that positive and negative words not only affect us on a deep psychological level, but also they have a significant impact on the outcome of our lives. I'm going to link to an article below that I'm going to reference right now. There's a neuroscience experiment called Do Words Hurt? It was conducted by a woman named Maria Richter in collaboration with other scientists. And in this study, they were monitoring the brain's responses to auditory as well as imagined negative words. And what they found is that negative words released stress as well as anxiety-inducing hormones in subjects. And then in that article also talks about this book called Words Can Change Your Brain. And the quote from that book says this: "A single word has the power to influence the expression of genes that regulate physical and emotional stress." Now I'm sitting here on these bleachers because I thought this would be a really great place to film it, to get you just thinking about when you're sitting in a bleacher, what normally happens when you're in a bleacher. Well, if you're watching a game, you're going to be rooting for the people that, you're there to cheer on. What do those words do? It uplifts the people who are actually playing whatever it is that you're seeing. There's something that actually adds to the environment around you when you give something or you say something that builds up, that cheers up, that adds to and enables a person to feel empowered. So it's, if you put yourself into kind of a mind frame of when you've been in a situation like that, you can almost recall what it felt like to be in that moment, either doing the encouraging or if you were on the field receiving the encouragement. Proverbs 18:21 puts it this way: "The tongue has a power of life and death," meaning we can either add to a person's life or we can take away from a person's life. So I'm going to share just a couple of stories, one about the impact of negative words and one about the impact of positive words. And then I'm going to close out with an amazing quote from the 2015 World Champion Toastmasters International, whose name is Mohammed Khatani. So this last week, I was talking to someone about a divorce case that she's going through. And it's an incredibly contentious divorce that she's contending with. And she was talking about how her ex has basically gone through numerous lawyers, and even how her own initial lawyer quit on her because of how difficult the other side was being. She also then made mention of the fact that her ex's previous wife had been through a number of lawyers as well for the same reason. And then she said something like, this is just his MO. This is what happens. This is what always happens. And as soon as she said that, I just caught her and I said, hey, you know what? How about let's reframe that? And here's why I said that. When we speak negative words like that, we basically agree with the spiritual environment around us that wants to work against us. There's a spiritual atmosphere around us. It has both positive forces and negative forces. Positive forces that are working for us, negative forces that are working against us. And when we speak things like that, we actually empower those negative forces to do what they're there to do, which is to come against you, to steal, to cheat, to destroy, to kill, to keep you from reaching your destiny. And so I said to this person, I just think it's important for maybe you to take back those words and let's say something else. How can you reframe that? And she did. And because it's in our spiritual tradition to say sorry to God for that, that's what she did. And she just said, hey, God, I'm really sorry for saying that. And I take it back. And, we just reframed it. And I don't remember exactly what we said, but it was something like, while this has been what has happened in the past, it does not have to be going forward. And we then just spent some time praying so that her lawyers would be able to handle how difficult the case was, etc. We reframed it to agree with what the creator of the universe would want for her, which is to have as stable as possible of an environment while she's going through this incredibly contentious divorce. So what does that mean? I believe it means that we have the ability to influence the spiritual environment around us that's there to work on our behalf, the forces that are there to do that, or we can actually agree with the negative forces and thereby empower them to work against us. So I want to share a different story now. A few weeks ago, I was in Denver, and I woke up in the morning and I had this particular coffee house on my mind. And I hadn't been to that coffee house in over 20 years. And for whatever reason, I just felt absolutely compelled to go there. And so I did. And when that happens, when I have that unction, when I have that intuition, something like that inspiration in my gut, I've learned to acknowledge that that's sometimes God speaking to me. And I wasn't sure what was going to happen, but I thought, you know what? I'm just going to follow through and see. So I go there, and as I'm there, I'm asking for my spirit to be aware if there's anyone there who I might have something, some words to encourage. And sure enough, this woman is pointed out to me. All I can say is that my spiritual senses became heightened when I saw her. And so I paused and I just, was like, okay, God, what is it that you have for me to say? And very specific things came to my heart and to my mind. So anyway, I ended up walking up to her, and I know this is going to sound really weird. It is weird. We don't usually talk to strangers like this. But I went up to her and I said, hey, I know you don't know me, and I know this is going to be a little bit strange, but this morning I woke up and I had this coffee house on my mind. I haven't been to this coffee house in over 20 years because I haven't lived in Denver for a super long time. But I woke up this morning and I just knew I had to come. And I often, when that happens to me, I just know that it's usually God speaking to me. And so I came here. When I came here, I felt like the reason why I came was to talk to you. And I said, when I saw you, the first thing that I sensed is that you've been through something really, really difficult in your youth. And as a result of that, you have a heart to reach out to young people who struggle with the same thing. And when I said that, all of a sudden her eyes filled up with tears. And I said, you really want to help younger people come out of what it is that was so painful for you. And then I said, I also sense you haven't yet found your voice, but I want to encourage you as you continue to heal, you're going to find your voice and you're going to make a really amazing impact on these young people that you have a heart for. And now she's full on crying, and she didn't really know what to say, but she looked at me and she's like, who are you? What's your name? And so I told her, she told me her name. And then, she asked if we could hug. And I was like, absolutely. And we hugged, and she held on to me. And you could tell she was so encouraged by what I had shared. And so in that moment, I just spoke a blessing that she'd be able to find her voice, that she'd be able to continue to heal. And I blessed her to be able to be connected to the young people who she has a heart for. It was a really amazing encounter. And when we pulled away from each other, she looked at me and she said, oh, will you come back? And I was like, well, I don't live here anymore. I said, I'm leaving out of town, but the next time I come back to Denver, I'll make sure to visit. And that was it. And I walked out, and, I know her name, so I've been praying for her now and then as I have felt led to do so. And I do intend to go back there the next time that I'm in Denver. I'm not entirely sure what will happen from here, but what I know is this. There was a spark of something that was imparted to her in that conversation, and I know that she won't forget it. We have the power of life and death in our tongues. Another amazing proverb. Kind words are like honey, sweet to the soul and healthy for the body. Proverbs 18:4. A person's words can be life-giving water. As I was doing my research for this video, I found an incredible YouTube video that I'm going to link to in the cards here and also below. And it's a very short speech by Muhammad Khatani, who was a 2015 World Champion Toastmasters International. And he said this: your mouth can spit venom, or it can mend a broken soul. Ladies and gentlemen, let that be our goal. Have a wonderful day.